Ah, Jason Voorhees, my go-to slasher. Don't get me wrong, I love Michael Myers, but Jason Voorhees was really my introduction into the horror genre itself. When I was young, my sister snuck on the Friday the 13th marathon. Part 3 was my first movie, and it's in fucking sync with my head. I cannot stop thinking about that movie every time I think Jason Voorhees. Don't worry, this is all just my personal opinion. Don't get mad. Argue in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts. How would you rank them? And now on to the show. Here at number 12 is KIRZINGER from Freddy vs. Jason. The reason why he's on the bottom of the barrel is because, to me, the performance felt very lifeless. I don't really hate his performance. Like, sometimes he has really badass moments, like the cornfield scene, the bed stabbing. There's so many good moments with him in it. It's just, he's very, I'd say dull. Like, dull's probably the best word I could say for his performance. I know tons of fans think that this movie probably would have been a lot better if they just brought on Kane Hodder, because I'm pretty sure Kane Hodder himself was actually disappointed he didn't get the part for this. I'm a massive Jason Voorhees fan. Everyone knows this, and Freddy steals almost every scene in this movie. And that's sad because, well, it's Freddy vs. Jason. I would love to see Jason steal some scenes. But Ken is just forgettable, and that's why he's on the bottom. Sitting at number 11. It's gonna be Kane Hodder from Jason Goes to Hell. And the biggest reason for this is not because he was a bad Jason, but because he's hardly on screen. Like, he maybe only gets like 7, 10, maybe minutes of screen time, not including the scenes where he's in the mirror. The reason why he's over Ken is because I still love the look of this Jason, and I still like Kane Hodder's performance. It's just, overall, there's not too much of a performance there. And also, this is really a directing choice, not Kane Hodder's own choice. It's not his fault he's not on screen that much, so I'm not really going to fault him for that decision. Most of the time, it's actually him transferring his soul into another being, but I gotta admit, this movie has some badass kills. My god, such gory, good fun. To me, it's a fun movie, and Jason he's shit in this movie, but, you know, I'd still take him over fucking Ken, to be honest. Here we are at the top 10. Tom Morga from Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. Granted, he plays more of a Michael Myers than he does a Jason Voorhees, but overall, he was still not a bad Jason. But probably the biggest reason why he is so low on this list is because, let's be frank, he is really not Jason. He is actually a pissed off father who wants to get revenge for his son's death. And I know what the question's going to be, why isn't Pamela on this list then? Because she's just a mother getting revenge for Jason's death? Well, because at least Roy Burns dresses up and tries to pretend to be Jason while he's killing these people. And even if they decided not to go with that twist, they could have made this character Jason Voorhees if they never told us who it was to begin with anyways. So, to me, it still could have been pulled off as a Jason Voorhees. And this movie has a bunch of really brutal kills and a lot of cool-ass moments, so I really have to give it to that too. Jason really does, or, you know, Roy Burns really does have some cool moments. Number 9. Kane Hodder from Jason X. This movie is silly. It's goofy. And yes, it is very stupid. But it's a good stupid. However, the one thing that's not stupid is Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder in this movie, this is some of his best work, I think, of the whole franchise. He really is badass in this film. The concept of the movie is silly, but I really don't think anybody could pull off that cybergenetic mutated costume better than Kane Hodder did. He made it look very badass. The way he breathed in it, the way he looked in it, the glare that he used in it. And it's fair to say that everything number 9 and up are performances I actually really dig a lot. So by the end of the day, I had to give number 9 to this crazy, out there version of Jason Voorhees. It was absolutely a good time to watch, and Kane Hodder is certainly a badass. Bam! Number 8. Kane Hodder from Jason Takes Manhattan. Or Jason Takes a Boat to Manhattan. This Jason to me is very nostalgic. I really chose him because I really love the look of him, first off. Kane Hodder here has some of the most iconic kills in the franchise. He has some of the most coolest and funniest moments actually coming from Jason in this single movie. So yeah, there's a few moments I actually really had a chuckle come out of me. Granted, the main characters aren't really anything interesting for him to go up against, but since we're just talking about Jason, Jason has probably one of the best fucking kills in the entire franchise, with this guy going off on him, giving him good hits in, one punch after the other, what would take any normal guy down, and then he just fucking grabs him by the shoulder and knocks his head completely off. Bitch ass motherfucker! That is fucking epic. And at number 7 is Vincent DiSanti as Ghost Jason from Never Hike Alone. Technically, this is a fan film, and I really should not have counted it, but I'm going to count it because this fan film feels like it should be legitimate canon. Vincent does a good job on bringing Jason into the new era, and I really feel like if they were to go this route in the actual canon universe, this is really the way they should go. Oh, we're halfway there. C.J. Graham from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. To me, this is probably the most underappreciated version of Jason we have. In this version of Jason, he's more of a survivalist. He has like a utility belt. He has a lot of gadgets on him. His machete has like a holster. He's very, very badass. He has a bunch of awkwardly funny moments, great kills, very good gore. And I love his resurrection scene, which is very reminiscent to Frankenstein. And not only was this actually the rebirth of Jason, but actually the birth of Zombie Jason, the one that can't go down so easily. Like, he used to be able to go down with just a stab in the leg, but now he's like a monster. And before even Kane Hodder. So yeah, number 6 goes to the very unappreciated, very badass survivalist version of Jason, C.J. Graham. Finally getting to the good shit! Number 5. Warrington Gillette from Friday the 13th, Part 2. There is just something about this version of Jason that is very unsettling compared to the other Jasons. But that also might be because the mystery of whether or not it is Jason, because we really don't know. There's rumors going around that it could be, but really he's just a guy with a sack mask on that is just going around and killing people. And not only is he unsettling, but he also really knows how to play with his victims in this movie. From putting rope traps down to putting his decapitated mother's head in a fridge, yeah, he's fucked up. And this Friday the 13th movie has probably one of the best third acts of any Friday movie, with Jason kind of confronting a girl who's pretending to be the mother and him seeing the mother through the girls by wearing the sweater. It's really some cool character development stuff. You really see emotion in this version of Jason in this movie. And the confirmation of Jason when he has his mask off and jumps through that window at the end. Fucking glorious jump scare. Snuggled up at number 4 is Derek Mears from the 2009 remake. Plain and simply, this is the Jason I want to stay away from. The fact that he can run, the fact that he can shoot a bow and arrow, and might I add, impeccable aim. He's very creative too. He can hang a girl in a tent over a fire. He can fucking put a bear trap down to catch the boyfriend off guard. He has access to underground tunnels that can lead him anywhere in the camp without anybody noticing him. I don't like the characters, but Derek Mears is certainly the highlight of the movie. Number 3 in 3D. Kane Hodder from Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. I truly went with this version of Jason because, for one, he looks the most badass, and also it is the introduction to Super Zombie Jason, the really insane-looking, indestructible version. Granted, the way he went out was stupid and retarded, and most of his kills were pretty watered down, so, I mean, that's that. But nonetheless, I still love this Jason. He's absolutely badass, and I can't get enough of this version. The kills may have been watered down, but you can't deny that tent death was pretty damn awesome. Bitch ass fucking motherfucker! That is fucking epic. Here we are at number 2. the late Richard Brooker from Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. I really owe a lot to this guy because he was the first horror movie character to actually scare me when I was very young. And of course, in my opinion, it's good for kids to get scared every now and then. I remember seeing Richard Brooker on the Friday the 13th marathon because my older sister snuck it on when my parents were gone and she was babysitting. But not only is he nostalgic, he is legitimately shit your pants scary. From the way he takes off his mask and smiles to the way he runs at you coming down a hill. Overall, the character in this movie is legitimately just scary looking. He scares me a lot more than other Jasons on my list. Actually, all the Jasons before this version of Jason don't scare me as much as Richard Brooker does. Of course, the movie itself isn't the best of the franchise, but overall, this is one of the best Jasons, I think, of all time. He really set the playing field for my number 1 spot, so we will go ahead and move on to that. But before we do, I need to show you my nightmare scene from when I was a child. Gave me nightmares for weeks. Oh, ah! This is the perfect segue to my number 1. And the number 1 performance for Jason Voorhees is Ted White from Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. Not only is this my personal favorite Friday the 13th movie, but it also contains my personal favorite Jason Voorhees. Ted White to me is Richard Brooker's version of Jason, but he adds something new to it. He adds his own flavor to this character. He actually, to me, can be a bit more scary. Actually, Ted White to me kind of feels like Richard Brooker's version of Jason and Part 2's version of Jason in one, especially towards the end. Not only is Ted White great, but he also helps when you have Tom Savini coming and helping out your kills, making them look even more gruesome and more violent and more fucking awesome. And it also helps that every character in this movie is almost likable. If all the characters weren't likable, it would be just another Jason killing people. But since these characters are all likable, it actually leaves more of an impact when he does kill them. Which is something I can't say about the other movies in the franchise. A lot of these characters I don't want to see die. Not only is he scary, but at the end of the day, he is legitimately the most impactful version of Jason in the entire franchise, in my personal opinion. Get your bitch ass back here! So that was my personal ranking for all the Jason Voorhees performances. Guys, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Comment, of course, subscribe, like the video, and I'll check you guys out in the next video. Take care.